and he's also passionate of my story today. And thank you all coming here to listen to me. During more than 1,000 nights in various jails, including the so-called re-education camp of Viet Cong, Vietnamese communists, very few of my nights passed without a nightmare. A facade covered with light bulbs. I got lost amid 7 suns soaring above the wild field. An ice fire in my hand. A huge goldfish captured in an immense net. And after a given time, nightmares still pervaded my sleep. They were fearing scenes such as being chased, being arrested again, finding myself in a re-education camp again. My shirt soaked with sweat when I woke up. In that season of hell in Lisbon woods, my saving angel was poetry. Nightmares had been caught in poetry. There were drafts of poems, stanza of verse, even complete poems flashing out in my mind through 39 months in prison. Without paper and pen, I engraved them in my heart. Released from prison, I began to write them down, completing the draft and adding the poems that were written after my time in prison. The nightmares of a man facing difficulties for rehabilitation in the ordinary life. Some of them had been published with great public acclaim in Vietnam, thanks to the courage of some publishers. Their translations were welcome in France and the US, but the total manuscript of Nightmares with 30 poems had been rejected many times by Vietnamese publishers and had a sole chance to publish them online on the website Talawas, run by some Vietnamese writers and intellectuals living in Germany. And eventually, the complete bilingual poetry book, Ác Mộng, Nightmares, in Vietnamese, and the English version, translated by Vietnamese American poet Trịnh Y Thư and Vietnamese Canadian poet Nguyễn Đức Tùng, was published in the US last year, with a foreword by Alan Bass, the Chancellor of the Academy of American Poets. You see the cover of the book. I would begin have brought some books here. The book can be seen as a diary in the form of verses, in such a way that it truthfully recreates the scenes of the real hell, the states of the mind of the prisoner, his feelings of depression, panic, desperation. And I'm a prisoner without trial, so I have no idea the term of my incarceration. How many years, I don't know. But there were also warming moments, from the love for family through a dream of reunion, from the love for the country, important cell walls in the wings of fragile petals. From the love of humanity in the song of an inhuman young mate. Last but not least, it records the persistent obsession of a former inmate who felt an eye pursuing from his bite, who is choking like a dog going mad for unable to talk in human language. My nightmare poems have received a lot of comments from different countries. I'd like to mention here just a few from those of Vietnamese, an American, and a French poet. From Hoang Hưng, Vietnamese poet, the leader of the democracy movement of writers and artists in 1950s. A book of poems brimful with truth. Every word, every line is sprung out of the truth. The syllables broken, explode. That is anxiety, the irritation of the second half of 20th century, when humanity had thought that after two total wars, after the trial in Portugal and Nuremberg, after the peace conference in Paris, in Geneva, there will be all peaceful. It turns that, alas, with the rethink of his life, Hưng Span talked to us some new things about the human condition. And from Robert Creeley, the translator of the Academy of American Poets, reading the translation of your own work, I am very moved by the insistent feelings of displacement and loss. It must be our whole world has come to that same bitter place. From Marie Etienne, a French poet, editor of the journal Aujourd'hui Poème. Ce que j'aime dans les textes de Hoang Hưng, c'est qu'il restitue le réel objectif extérieur à travers le prisme de l'esprit, du réel intérieur, subjectif, onirique et sensible. Il y a donc dans ces poèmes des notations précises sur les objets, les lieux ou les événements, mais elles nous sont transmises, amplifiées, déformées, corrigées par ce que vit l'auteur et ce qui vibre en lui. As for the questions about the cause of my imprisonment, how it happened while I was working for the government as a journalist. To understand the case, you should know something of the current policy of the Vietnamese Communist Party since it has taken power in North Vietnam in 1954 and all Vietnam after 1975. There had been a short period when the Vietnamese communists, following the Chinese big brothers, as a consequence of the de-Stalinization and coexisting peacefully policy of the Soviet Union, they allowed hundreds colors to raise their voice, hundreds kinds of flowers to blossom. But very quickly, always following the Chinese, the Vietnamese communists gave up their open policy and returned to repression, beginning with the trial of the group Humanism, better left than one I thought, who were asking for some freedom of art creation and freedom of civic expression. Then, absolute imposing of Marxist-Leninist ideology in the whole social life. That was in fact the establishing of Stalinist Maoist totalitarianism. Stripped of the right of publishing, writers of the humanist Berlin movement still create in darkness, and their works were circulated underground among admirers. Hoang Hưng was the most beloved among them. A poetry manuscript of him went from hand to hand during more than 20 years, from 1960 to 1982. When some Vietnamese who had lived overseas were allowed to visit their homeland, they brought some poems of Hoang Hưng out of the country and published them in France. The fight made Vietnam totally angry, and the secret net was spread around Hoang Hưng home. And the professor and writer that I have mentioned before, he was the man who came from Canada and want to bring the manuscript of Hoang Hưng outside the country. So that is the first cause of my imprisonment. And I had unfortunately fallen in the net when coming to ask Hoang Hưng for a handwriting copy. I was then arrested and accused of circulating a counter-revolutionary literary work. And you see, in the manuscript that the poet Hoang Hưng gave me in his written the page 1 of the manuscript, về Kinh Bắc, back to Kinh Bắc, a poetry of Hoang Hưng, 1960, and copied to Hoang Hưng for the future of art. It's the manuscript that gave me the imprisonment. And my bad luck went so further when policemen came to my home searching more evidence for my punishment. And they found there several drafts of poetry in my notebook that they considered more reactionary than Hoang Hưng poems by 100 times. In fact, my verses expressed a suspicion for the future of my country in its way of socialism. The suspicion has sprung up in my mind back in 1970, resulting in the lines as follows. Yes, sir, we are closing our arms and closing our eyes, sitting here to see your heaviness and ignorance will slowly sink the ship towards the sea bottom. I had been impregnated with the such so bad thinking for too long time, since very young, the policeman concluded. And that was the true cause driving me to the re-education camp, along with tens of thousands of officers and officials of the South after the communist victory in 1975. Repression of the freedom of thinking and expression is always the vital policy of the communist regime. The cause is simple. The communist authority has an insight of the big effect of propaganda via the mass media, including literature and art works. They have themselves abused that exact freedom in the capitalist society, even under the colonialist regime, to fight for their revolution. Let us use the pen as a tool to change this regime, was the verse by leader of Vietnamese Communist Party. In the era of its struggle against French colonialism. Therefore, after taking over the power, the first act of the party is to hold up the absolute monopoly of the press and publication for the sake of preventing every germ of thinking that contradicts the party's politics. In Vietnam, sensational triumphs of literature and arts have been planned and realized willingly to discourage any smallest idea of opposition. Those were the triumph of humanism and burlesque, that of yellow music for the singers of low songs considered weakening the revolutionary spirit of the population, and that of one poems, that was my case. Since the internet became the powerful media for viral ideas of freedom, Vietnam has known hundreds of arrests and given heavy sentences to the online voice of democracy. And last year, they promulgated the law of internet security to legalize its repression of liberal bloggers and Facebookers. All in all, the result is a great brooding over the whole society. Many found himself or herself a preparatory prisoner, as expressed in a verse of a poet who is considered pretty loyal to the party. All of us are awaiting for being arrested. But in such circumstances, in more than half century, Vietnamese writers gave birth of several works of prison and post-prison experience. To cite some famous work, Flowers from Hell by the poet Nguyễn Chí Thiện. Written of his first imprisonment, his attempt to bring the manuscript into the British embassy gave him the second time of prison term, and eventually a lifetime exile in the US. And the tale of the year 2000, a novel by the writer Bùi Ngọc Tấn. Thanks for a courageous publisher who dare print it and publish it some days, but immediately the book has been revoked after publishing and ground into powder. Same as my nightmare, the above-mentioned books only found the chance of publishing outside the country, as well as works of former officers and officials of the Southern regime, written their full experience, namely Night at Midday by Vũ Thị Hiền, published in France, and The Bloody University by Hoang Hưng, published in the US. However, recently we witnessed the phenomenon of underground self-publication and circulation that became more and more viral. The most renowned is the poetry book, Such the Love and Compassion, Thương ơi là thương, written by the most famous political prisoner, Trần Bình Tri Thức. It's a very famous political prisoner. He refused the chance to be in exile in the US, to stay in the prison for the idea, for his idea of democracy. So you can see a trend of literary works, experience of prison and post-prison by Vietnamese writers and poets in a half century. Today, I am so happy to have an opportunity to talk about my nightmare poems. But I would like to say that my nightmares are just a very small part of the whole colossal nightmare of the Vietnamese people that lasts for more than a century. For the slave condition in French colonialism, to prisoners of the totalitarianism of their own compatriots, the same condition that a Polish poet had written in a verse that I repeat in my notebook in 1970. They dismantled the chains of our arms, then put chains around our brains and hearts. May all chains broken, all nightmare dissipate in the light of truth and compassion. That is my wish and my prayer today under the roof of our merciful God. Thank you for attention. In the book last year I have published in America. I don't want to know that, but because it refused by Vietnamese publishers. So,
congratulations.
And if you want, I will read some poems in Vietnamese. Yeah. And one running in the prison, in the cell. Chạy một mình trong bóng tối, chạy co đầu gối, chạy vã cô đơn, chạy quên sợ hãi. Mồ hôi mặt rít qua kẽ răng. Chạy một mình ảo tưởng sống, nghe tiếng chân mình âm xi măng. Chạy một mình run đầu gối, chạy từ đói đến hết muối. chạy một mình lê không nổi, chạy đỉnh núi toạc bàn chân, chạy trong buồn chân bị trói. Chạy một mình trong bóng tối, bỏ quên tôi cả thế giới. Trái đất ngủ, một mình tôi chạy tại chỗ. Thình 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 tim tôi gõ. Ai nghe, ai vào cắn cổ, ai đá lăn chiêng. Mắt nhắm nghiền, tôi cứ co đầu gối. And the English version. Running by myself in the dark, running with knees flying high, running until my loneliness perspires as sweat, running until my fear is forgotten, the salty sweat freezing and wheezing between my teeth. Running by myself, the illusion does create that I am still alive. I hear a sound, the sound of my feet on the cement floor. Running by myself, my knees shaking, running from hunger till all the salt is gone. Running by myself, can't even drag my feet. Running on the mountain peak, my feet are shattered. Running in the mud, my feet are bound. Running by myself in the dark, and forgotten by the whole damn world. The earth is sleeping, I'm all alone, running at the same spot, thump, 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 my heart beating. Who will listen? Who is coming in to bite my neck? Who is coming in to kick me tumbling down? Ignoring them all, I close my eyes and keep running with my knees flying high. Translated by Chị Hưng. And the second poem is a poem that I wrote after prison. Người về từ cõi ấy, vợ khóc một đêm, con lạ một ngày. Người về từ cõi ấy, bước vào cửa, người quen tái mặt. Người về từ cõi ấy, giữa phố đông nhồn nhột sau gáy. Một năm sau còn nghẹn giữa cuộc vui, 2 năm còn mộng khoát mồ hôi, 3 năm còn nhớ một con thạch thùng, 10 năm còn quen ngồi một mình trong tối. Một hôm có kẻ nhìn chân chối, một đêm có tiếng bâng quơ hỏi, giật mình một cái vỗ vai. In English version. The man who came back. He who came back from that place found his wife weeping one night, his child a stranger one day. He who came back from that place stepped through the door, his friends blanching at his side. He who came back from that place stood in the heart of the city, feeling a chicken on the nape of his neck. A year later, he still chokes up in the midst of a party. 2 years later, he still wakes up sweating from nightmares. 3 years later, the memory of the wife eater still remains. 10 years later, he continues the habit of sitting alone in the dark. There are days when someone stares at him. There are nights when fluttering voices question him. A pat on the shoulder startles him. Translated by Quentin Group. Thank you. If someone has a question, please.
How could you resist to this so bad treatment?
As I said before, that is the poetry. The poetry said to me, if without poetry I can become crazy. It's a truth. And every day I wrote the poem in my mind, and I talk to myself alone in the cell. So, as I said, poetry is my guardian angel, my saving angel.
Like every art, it saves us and make the world beautiful.
Yeah, thank you. And I think the communists and all the totalitarian government, they are wrong when they put division writers. They are wrong. If the writers are not that in prison, they will create the artwork of experience, the prison experience, and so it's not good for the government at all.
It's a pity that lots of people here in Portugal don't come here to listen to you, because we have freedom, we can vote, and there is a lot of people that don't use this prerogative that we have freedom to vote. They don't use it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I think the sermon of mine are translated in Portuguese, but
yeah, this is the book. Yeah, we have it.
They are translated.
Yeah, they are some of your poems here. That's here.
but the distribution.
Yeah, we have already. Yes.
Right.
So this one part of yourself will stay with us.
Thank you.
So, thank you very much
Thank you
for
very much
being here with us and
for
for sharing with us your motivations, the motivations that led you to create your work, and the hard circumstances that led you to do this beautiful work. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you. And when I put the information of my trip and the trip and also my daughter here, and very congratulations to us. And they said you are very happy, and maybe the God bless you, because after a life of really pains, now the God gave you the happiness of being with your daughter here, and it's thanks to the Santa Casa, and thanks to the Nam Home, to give us this very happy chance. Thank you so much.
And now I suggest that we go down to the museum yard, to the cloister, to see the work, the Lisbon work.
Thank you.
Okay,
And
thank you.
another advice, we have today at 9 o'clock in the evening a concert in the Church of St. Roque. If you want to assist, please tell me.
The concert. Yeah, concert.